Yo, what is up guys? It's the Goblin and welcome back to another Call of Duty Modern Warfare video. Now in tonight's video, I have a lot to say and a lot to talk about because we got this 1.09 patch update which was 13 gigabytes or so and did fix a lot of bug fixes or different issues with the game, but a lot of the things that the community had been talking about or addressing on whether Reddit or Twitter, a lot of it did go ignored in this big update. As Ashton from Infinity Ward said herself, this is the big update with a lot of patch notes, so it really leaves the community in an interesting position as of right now. And this update, I'm not gonna lie, it was very sloppy. They left some notes, some internal notes on the patch notes. They put patch notes that don't even exist in the game. They aren't even out yet, and they just did complete typos around the scar that had everyone confused on whether it was a buff or a nerf. A lot of just dumb stuff that happened with this update, so we're going to talk about that, as well as, you know, the 1.09 update, as well as season 1, which will be coming up probably early in December, which is going to be the sort of, I guess you could say, the next chance we have for big game changes, if I think any of that stuff is even going to come. You know, the rumored mini-map or overhaul, I'm going to address that and talk about what I think is going on internally there at Infinity Ward, just based on my speculation. A lot of stuff to talk about in tonight's video in terms of updates and the state of this game as of right now. If you guys could drop a like on this video, that would be absolutely incredible. Let's go ahead and go for 898 likes. If we could hit that, that would be absolutely incredible. Smash that like button. It would be very much appreciated. Also, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed. Let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so where do we start here? I have a lot of stuff to talk about. I guess we'll go into this 1.09 update, and I have to clear up a lot of stuff because they really just messed up on the release of this patch, or at least with the patch notes. And then we'll get more into about, is there another big update? Why was this update 13 gigabytes? Some stuff that's been found in the files probably for season 1 and other stuff like that. So first of all, the 1.09 update came out around midnight last night, and I made a video on it. I covered the patch notes. It was over 2 pages of patch notes or something like that Ashton was teasing and talking about. And in these patch notes, there was a lot of things that were just complete mistakes, and I want to clear up now because it looks like even the people at Infinity Ward didn't really know what was going on. So I don't know how they expect, you know, a person like myself, a YouTuber, or just the general fans of the game to know what's going on. So the first thing we have to talk about is the SCAR 17. Now, the patch notes officially said FN SCAR 17. Slight increase in ADS time, reduction to barrel and bipod grip penalty. So what that means, I went back and me and all my YouTube friends were discussing what this lingo means in a Discord call. I went back, I looked into how they worded things on previous patch notes, where they would always say an increase in ADS speed if they are speeding it up, and of course an increase in the time means it's going to take more time, means it's slower. So that's what we got as far as the FN SCAR 17. And then just today, about like an hour ago on Twitter, Joe COD on Twitter, someone tweeted him saying, did you have to nerf the SCAR 17? The ADS speed was slow enough already. And he responds, fairly certain that was a typo and it was sped up, smiley face. So this is from the co-design director of multiplayer at Infinity Ward, Joe COD. And if he doesn't even know what this means, if it was a typo, he's fairly certain. How the heck are we supposed to know? It is kind of laughable and ridiculous in my opinion. I'm not trying to hate or anything. It seems weird. If the co-design director doesn't know, how the heck are we supposed to know what's going on in the game? And if it's something just as simple as a question, did the SCAR get buffed or did it get nerfed? It shouldn't be too complicated. And basically what he's saying here is fairly certain that was a typo, which means whoever wrote up these patch notes just completely whiffed on it and put not just a typo, I guess it's a typo if you just use completely the wrong word, by putting time instead of speed, how they had done it on all the other times. So I guess this is good news in the end, because it ends up with us getting the SCAR to get sort of double buffed because they buffed that. If it's a slight increase, let's fix their typo for them. A slight increase in ADS speed and reduction to barrel and bipod grip penalties. Pretty nice stuff for the SCAR, and I probably will have like an upgraded, I've been playing with this like mini SCAR setup. I'll probably release in a couple days or so on the channel. I'll class it up for that. So that's the first thing that was messed up with these patch notes. The second thing was they put and added the option to always sprint under accessibility. That was in the patch notes, and now when I go back and look at these notes through Charlie Intel, it says update. Infinity Ward says this is coming in the next update. So I don't know why they put this in the patch update, patch notes, if it's not in the patch update. Obviously, just another confusion there on the side of Infinity Ward, or who really knows, just a communication error or whatever. So it looks like that's coming in the next update. This has happened many times before. We had it where they said it was impossible to get a nuke in the tank, and then you could still do it after the update. We've had it where they've said you can go into ground war with big parties. I forget the exact lingo that they were using, but that was just everyone on Reddit was ripping them apart for that as well, saying that that just wasn't true. So I appreciate a lot that they're trying to communicate with us, but when even the co-design director of multiplayer doesn't really know what's going on in the patch notes, it really leaves it confusing for people like myself as a YouTuber trying to just get the honest, real info out to people that want to watch it, that care about the game, that are passionate, that are watching videos like this. It really does make it troublesome. And then the next mistake, number 3, they hit the hat trick of mistakes on these patch notes, is that they, Infinity Ward uploaded the patch notes for today's update to battle.net as well, which is their PC servers where they do the PC game. I don't know too much about it, but it's basically where, you know, if you want to go to get CSGO, you go to Steam. If you want to get Call of Duty, you go to battle.net. At least that's, I don't know if that's even right. That's just the way that I think that it works. Who knows? You guys, I'm sure 20 people will be correcting me in the comments. But anyway, on battle.net, they uploaded their patch notes, just like they do to Reddit or wherever else they put it. But they had accidentally left an internal note that was not meant to be shown publicly under the changes to footstep audio. And this is hilarious. This is so funny to me. So they put up the patch notes regularly, but they left an internal note, which means it was a note for just the developers and workers from Infinity Ward. And what the note said underneath the footstep changes is this is what the internal note says, quote, "This is a hot topic in the community, and this is not the change that they were hoping to see. Our core players want to see footstep volume dramatically reduced," end quote. So basically, they accidentally left in the patch notes saying the truth about this update, which is, hey, we didn't fix it as much as everyone wanted to, but we did something. And they forgot to remove that when they first uploaded the patch notes. And they also left in another internal note under Gun Game. It says, "Gun Game is a fan favorite mode, and we should see positive sentiment around its addition." So I guess they're in tap with the community if they know Gun Game's gonna bring some hype, but I just thought that was hilarious, and, you know, just making a few mistakes there on that latest update, which really just leaves us in confusion. You know, all I try to do is give the info as best as I can. I try to stay up to date with everything, but if even people that are, you know, have very important positions at Infinity Ward don't know what's going on, it definitely leaves the community in really just like a crazy state. And although this update, I'm not trying to completely crap on this update, because this was a needed update, but a lot of this update was fixing stuff that needed to be fixed. A lot of broken stuff in the game, you know, bugs for search and destroy one life modes, more tuned to footsteps, which you know, from their words even, isn't what we wanted to see, and, you know, nerfing the tanks a little bit. It's definitely a move in the right direction. Every one of these patch updates has been a move in the right direction, but the game has been out for basically around a month right now as the time I'm recording this, and most of this, it feels like they've been playing catch up, fixing bug updates and all that different stuff. So another thing is what got people so hyped for this update, because this was an update that, like I said, it wasn't the worst update ever, but when you think that this is teased as a big update, and it was 13 gigabytes, you know, it leaves people wondering a little bit. People were probably expecting, and the fan base was expecting a little more from this 1.09 update. And why do people think it is a big update or that an overhaul was coming? Now, first of all, there was just the rumors that were started from a credible leaker, the Gaming Revolution. This guy has leaked a bunch of stuff accurately over time, you know, going back to early 2019 about what's going to be happening into not Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare by Infinity Ward, and he predicted a lot of stuff accurately. And he made these tweets on Halloween, on October 31st, saying that the mini-map will be returning to normal by the end of November, and that there's a big overhaul coming. So he obviously had some sort of leak or source that led him to believe this and tweet this out, because, of course, his information has been credible many times in the past. Now, when I first read out this information, what I was saying is that, yeah, we don't have any official confirmation or any official sources behind this stuff. And what I was also saying is the thing about the mini-map is they've changed their mind so many times on the mini-map. I thought that, of course, this is hyped info, thinking that the mini-map will return, but of course they can change that on the drop of a dime. I mean, this game was literally supposed to have supply drops in it. Real supply drops up until like a couple months before release, when they decided to switch completely 180 into no supply drops. We would never do that, and make it more of a battle pass sort of implemented system, right? Because obviously, for whatever reasons or back-end stats, they found that that would make more money or have a better return with the player base. So as far as these leaks from Gaming Revolution, minimap will be returning to normal by the end of November. A lot of people thought that would be in this update, because he also says that there's a big overhaul coming, right? And of course, nothing was changed with the minimap in this update. Do I think they're going to change the minimap? I think there's still a chance, but most likely no. This is something that was changed in the beta. I mean, remember week 1 to week 2, they were switching the way the minimap worked completely. So it's obviously something that they are not the most confident in their decisions on at Infinity Ward. So it totally could change. But if I was to bet money, do I think it's going to change the minimap back to normal? Probably not, but I think there's still a good chance. There's still a good chance, but probably not. I think they have sort of decided on keeping it, at least as of right now, for the next coming months as of this way. But he also said there was the big overhaul coming, which Ashton was actually tweeting, and that was, of course, he hinted at that by the end of November. So on November 19th and 20th, Ashton, who is another employee of Infinity Ward who posts the patch notes up to Reddit and is very communicative with the community, COD community, she says this was when the patch went out earlier with a bunch of those weapon changes to the AUG and different things like that. What went out today was a patch. We have an update coming out in the next few days that includes fixes to perks, private match options, weapons, and more, and finalizing the notes for the big update, in quotes, you are all asking about, with a happy little emoji. Notes are a little over 2 pages long. Lots of good stuff in here. So this was her teasing the 1.09 as being the big, in quote from her, the big update you are all asking for. Then of course she ended up posting this, posting the patch notes, which I made the video on for 1.09. She made another tweet talking about how there's the 2 new Spec Ops, 1 new classic Spec Ops missions with star ratings, the realism mosh pit, and gun game, #Modern Warfare. And of course on the replies to that, they were not very happy, especially based on the fact that this was a 13 gigabyte update. A lot of the rumors and leaks, and even though they were just rumors and leaks, because they were all pointing towards this big update overhaul, and then Ashton from Infinity Ward, they never confirmed a big overhaul, but she says, this is the big update you guys are all been waiting for. A really poor choice of words, I would say, in my opinion, because it got the community super duper hyped just to be let down by that. And you can see some of the replies here. Is this update a joke? Is this the big one? It's still a bummer update, clown emojis. What a letdown. Of course people are, I scrolled through almost all the replies on this. A few people are trying to, saying that, we should be happy because this is a good update going in the right direction, which I agree. But it can be a little bit of both. You can be happy that the updates are going in the right direction, but also be a little upset about the timeline of it, or that it feels like they're playing catch up. So according to everything that we have from what Infinity Ward and what their employees have been saying to us, this was the big update, and I definitely think it was big, not just in size and bug fixes, in terms of stuff they added on the background that will be released later, probably more towards December or Season 1, but in terms of how they hyped up the community, saying this was the big update, knowing that the rumors were all pointing towards an overhaul, this was definitely a big underwhelming update in terms of what we were expecting. Even though it was significant and good, it didn't really address a lot of the core issues that have just been harped on and been talked about over and over and over from the community. And in terms of, is there another big update or overhaul coming on the way? I'm sure there is at some point throughout the game. The game's only been out for a month, and the life cycle, at least as the main Call of Duty game, lasts at least around a year until they release the next edition, which will probably be a Treyarch Call of Duty game. But will we be getting some sort of big update or overhaul towards the end of November? I don't know. I mean, it still is possible. We still have some time left in November, but it seems like quite possibly this was the big update, and if so, this is fairly underwhelming. And in terms of next time that we could possibly expect some big changes, I would say probably all signs are pointing towards around that start of Season 1, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. So definitely a little bit underwhelming with this update. I think there was a bunch of things more that they could have addressed, but that's just my opinion, and it seems like a lot of the opinion of the community as of right now as well. So as far as 13, why was this update 13 gigabytes if it's just a bunch of bug fixes and other things like that? Now, one theory is that obviously we're going to be getting Season 1 of Call of Duty. I don't know exactly what it's going to be called, but the Battle Pass Season 1, whatever, probably early December. I mean, the rumors are that it could come out like really early in December. I don't know exactly, but possibly this 13 gigabytes that was added on PS4 for this update would be to add stuff into the background for that, for either potentially, let's say, this update comes out early in December and comes out with a new season. Maybe there will be a lot of patch notes and a lot of a overhaul or another big update on that same night it drops, much like how Fortnite, whenever they drop a new season or a new battle pass, at least, lately they haven't been putting out patch notes, but back in the day, they come out with huge patch notes and huge game changes. I think that's a possibility because we probably will be seeing new maps. So maybe the next big update we'll get will be in early December. Will it have changes to the minimap? I don't know. I doubt it, possibly, but it could have a lot of other changes. You know, some of the things that people are requesting, like Dead Silence as a perk, I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think they've ever really adjusted perks too much after releasing Call of Duty. I think other things like the minimap are more likely to happen than that. Other things like them wanting to, or people wanting them to address matchmaking, not sure what's going to go on with that. They've been pretty much silent on that end for the most part, but we'll have to wait and see. And I think there is still potential that we get another big update whenever this season comes out, because they want people to hop on and of course spend money and all that stuff. And it was actually data miners were actually able to go in, because whenever there's a big update, of course 13 gigabytes was not just for these bug fixes. Things were added in, and Senescalo was able to go into the files and find a few things which have he uploaded to Reddit. He's another known leaker or data miner leaker, and he all of these posts have been removed by Reddit in response to a copyright notice. So obviously this stuff is legitimate if Activision or whoever is Infinity Ward, whoever it is taking this stuff down. But what was found in the files was additional references to crash and cargo map. It looks like the cargo map might be some sort of a remake of the wet work on the inside of the ship, much like it was in the COD 4 mission. On the previous leaks, we had cargo being a possible name for a shipment, so they're still working things around here, but it looks like we're going to get some sort of a wet work map and also something to do with a crash. And it looks like that crash, it was like a it still looks like to be a work in progress, as some assets are missing, but appears to be worked on recently, meaning it's coming to Modern Warfare at some point. Basically, we had the leak back in October with the 38 unreleased maps, a lot of them being locations for Battle Royale, which the Battle Royale will probably come out, I'd say January or February, early 2019. But now we have this stuff with the maps, finding crash in there in early development and some sort of a wet work cargo, as well as finding the Season 1 Battle Pass, which looks like it's 100 tiers and purchasable with COD points, which isn't really that shocking of a leak, but of course this stuff is all, the stuff we just talked about is all just leaked and is subject to change as well. But because this is probably going to come early December, I'm guessing that's what we're going to get. Season 1 Battle Pass, 100 tiers, purchase tiers with COD points, and it's going to be something where probably you can level it up and earn it, but it's going to probably have some huge incentives to purchase it early and get that stuff, whether it be new variants or whatever it's going to be, cool cosmetics, who really knows, because of course if they're giving out these mini maps and these season updates for free, they're going to have to make some money somehow and sell some stuff. But that's what we have as far as news and updates for this. Was this the big update? Yes, according to Infinity Ward, this was the big update, and it was big. It was definitely big, 13 gigabytes. It didn't really impact gameplay the way a lot of people expected it to, although it did have a lot of positive changes, of course. This update did not make the game worse in any regards, except for the fact there was like this huge bug where you couldn't level up yourself or level up your weapons, but I'm hoping that's been fixed by now. That was like happening last night before I went to bed. But yeah, other than that, a little bit of confusion here on how they released the patch notes, some stuff just being a straight up typo or just straight up wrong information in the patch notes official by Infinity Ward, them being very sloppy and leaving those internal notes, sort of laughing at the community in there. It is kind of funny, but it's also like depressing funny. It's like, come on, come on, guys. And then what else? Just teasing the big update. This was the big update, the 2 pages of patch notes, and probably we're going to see some more big updates soon around this Season 1, and it's going to be interesting to see how they implement this DLC and all this different stuff. I know this was a longer video. I had a lot of stuff to talk about and a lot of stuff on my mind. Once again, I'm not trying to hate at all. I'm just trying to say, like, it doesn't really make sense to me why they can't just have like a, before the patch notes go out, have a little finalized meeting and say, okay, make sure we got the right info to go out with this stuff. It doesn't seem like that's too much of an ask. And as far as other things, like when you do tease the big update, as far as like Ashton did from Infinity Ward, saying this is the big update everyone has been asking about, 2 pages, a lot of good stuff in there, and then you could kind of feel, I think you could assume what people's reactions would be to this update. It seems like they're setting us up on purpose for disappointment, or I'm not really sure. Maybe that's the game plan, and then they come up with a banger update on, early December, fixing everything. Who really knows? It's all speculation and rumors, and we have to go off what the developers and people at Infinity Ward are willing to give to us, and I appreciate them being, communicating with us, and at least telling us, like, hey, I think that was probably a typo in the SCAR patch notes, but even from the co-design director himself, he says he's fairly certain, so even he doesn't know for sure. It seems like nobody knows for sure, but it looks like that SCAR was a buff, and yeah, a lot of cool stuff to talk about. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Drop a like on this video if you guys could. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and not already subscribed. I'll catch you on the next one. That's about it, and I'm out. Peace.